hope you can hear me. Here, I'm gonna switch the. Probably better. Switch. Okay, that should be better sound. I hope. There's a lot going on. What you think about race and the narrative that's around it is uh, it's a product of the environment that we're in and a product of media and the propaganda in in the U.S. And depending on where you are in the world, you have a different social they have different social issues that they are dealing with. Well, the AI is changing everything. It's going to change the narrative because the future that I see is there's going to be so much artificial intelligence generated content online that people are going to have to decide they're going to be seeking real things, right? Like raw video. I think this is why streaming has taken off recently. There used to be a time when rappers were the social icons, right? They were they set culture. But streamers are making a lot of money just talking to people for hours on end throughout the day. People like Kai Cenat, people like Aiden, it's insane how much influence they have, and these are very regular people with no talent. They're just regular people, and because they've spent so much time building up a fan base, being themselves, um, that's what people are looking for in this age of AI and where it's going. I know there's a natural fear of change, especially the older you get. You start to build this, get comfortable the way things are. It feels safe. So when, with this talk of AI taking over everything, there's a little bit of fear there. But that's just how it is. Naturally, I think we're like that. Humans are like that. But you see, the younger generation, they adapt to AI very easily because they don't come with the baggage. They don't come with the trauma and all the failure, all the stuff that you've gone through that you accumulate over the years that make you more uh, averse. Like you don't want to take risk. Anyway, so that's why you're seeing them. The younger folks are the ones who are adapting AI very quickly to their lives. They use it like an operating system. Sam Altman recently said that he described the demographic of people and how they are adapting to these language models like ChatGPT. Some of the older folks, like people over 40, they just they kind of just like search and take answers and leave. They're replacing Google with it. Then you have the ones who are like 25 to like 17 to 30. They're using it like um, a personal assistant. They're having conversations with it. And then the younger ones, they're completely AI. Like that's their operating system. And so that's just the way it's going to be. But the future is I don't even the whole idea of calling it artificial intelligence suggests that there's a higher intelligence, a natural intelligence. And I like that because in my opinion, what we are, the part of consciousness that we are, humans are, I like to think of it as in a hierarchy. I like to think of it like we're the original intelligence, super intelligence. And then this thing that we created, I think we created it. It's artificial, the other. Anyway, it's going to change things the way as we know it. Elon Musk talks about, a future where it's not just universal basic income, but that people are going to be living on really high income just for existing. And the challenge that they're going to be faced with is choosing a purpose to live for, because humans, we naturally need something to get us up from the bed in the morning. We need a purpose in life, and that's beyond money. Money is just a tool. At some point, in terms of wealth, money just ceases to exist. When you can get whatever you want, oh snap, that's the police. Let me get out of the way, yeah. Oh shit, please don't follow me. Oh my god, what just happened? Anyway, like I was just saying, you start to realize, I don't know, I always have this fear whenever a cop is behind me. I don't know why I have that. It's strange. I don't know why I have that fear, but and I've never really had any issues with law enforcement. I'm a law-abiding citizen. You know, I work, I earn a living servicing people, providing healthcare service, caring for them, and seeing them getting healthy. That gives me joy. So, not gonna lie, it's I'm really happy to be just the privilege of life is better than anything. It's just being grateful for being here is more than anything else. But I was trying to make a point about artificial intelligence and where it's going. You can think about, they talk about Tesla. Tesla as a stock is undervalued, okay? Because of what these guys building in terms of like XAI and how it's in the car, it's in real things. These companies that are fighting over which language model is better than the other. I think that's just a distraction from the real thing that AI promises, the real value that AI promises to us. It's bigger than a chatbot. You know, we're talking about in the next 5 years, everything is going to be just. You can order stuff, you can speak it, and it'll arrive. You can, although there's gonna be like obviously the uh, culture takes a while to change over. It doesn't snap your finger and things happen. But it slowly seeps in. Like Waymo has become normal. I remember when you couldn't even fathom the idea of a car driving itself, but Waymo is just now like normal. And next thing we're gonna see Tesla robocabs everywhere. Uh, you know, so I remember even the I when ChatGPT came out in 2022, I think, or 2023, it was this new thing, and now within 2 3 years it's advanced so far that I think it's at PhD level thinking with that deep reasoning stuff. Whew, like it does research. Gemini 2.5 can do research by reading hundreds of sources online, something that we humans can't do. It'll go through hundreds of sources in minutes, and it will prepare this really nice report for you about whatever topic you want. Okay. O um, O3 GPT, ChatGPT O3, the model, the operator model, uh, it's like controls the computer for you. It clicks on things, and it's that advanced to where it has browser use. You just is and then you start to learn things like the AI agents, where you can pretty much automate. the entire workflow end to end without human supervision. So imagine that in Optimus, when Optimus becomes commercially available or is law enforcement, these police officers are going to be robots. You know, your soldiers are going to be robots. Your Elon said he anticipates making billions of those things. Like every human is going to want one, and I think I want one. I've imagined going fishing for bass with my Optimus friend. So you can see where we're going. There's whatever we want as humans, we can get. This is in the absence. This is assuming that there's no black swan event. That's what we're praying for. No like nuclear war or no uh, natural disaster that sets us backwards. You know what I mean? If all things being equal, we're entering what Trump describes as the golden era, and I can see him making moves in that direction. You know, I'm not a Trump stan, but I see what he's doing. Like watching the events, the geopolitical events today, with him making the tour in the Middle East and visiting these wealthy countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and they're receiving him. The reception that he gets at these countries is like royalty. So he's placing. And then he made a speech about how he's trying to get us away from war. He wants to be the president that, president of peace, that ushers in an era of peace. He's out there brokering peace, negotiating financial investments into the United States. So if you're someone who is invested in this country, as I am, I have been in this country for decades now, and paid so much taxes. I've sweat and bled here, so I now I feel that I have a stake in the success of this country, and so it's finally there's a level of it's too early to call, but there's a level of hope that's seeping in with this president and what he's. It sounds different from what we've heard over the years. Over the years, we got used to this sinister attitude. These politicians just lying and making up stuff, and they never, when they're elected, they never hold up to any of their campaigns. And you had all these unnecessary wars, overtaxation. The general vibe in the country was negative, and you could feel it. And so we, it just feels different now. It feels better. It feels optimistic. I can feel it in the air, and you know, it's got me reading up about government contracts and how to get involved in and tapping in on how to make money through the government, because you realize that these trillions of dollars, Trump is bringing in trillions of dollars into the country. Like he's got countries making these pledges. I think the UAE has Saudi Arabia pledged $600 billion. The UAE pledged over $1 trillion in investments into this country. Those are government contracts, and I think that the government has an interest in in energizing or fueling small business. Small businesses, the American small business has an opportunity to thrive. And I think that if you're out there, I think you should start reading up on government contracts. I recently just started researching them. I don't have I'm still learning. I'm about to take action on what I'm learning because I do realize that the government has a large purse and it needs to purchase goods and services. and you as the small business can provide those goods and services to the government to make the economy running, to fix our roads, to get the, whatever it is they want to get. Like if the government wants to buy something, you as the contractor, whether you're the prime contractor or or you're the subcontractor, you have, you know, you can get a piece of that pie. And the way to get into it is, it's not very complicated. It does require consistency and reading and understanding their requirements and following through and taking action. But there's an immense opportunity there to where you can get involved and be part of the system, participate, and make a living while being a patriot, servicing the U.S. government. So look into government contracts. That's something that I've gotten interested in recently. I'm going to be sharing more of it as time goes by. Um, I've been, you know, but in the age of AI, there's even an opportunity to make that process more efficient. There are people who have been in government contracting for years and they've been doing it the old way. But once you understand agentic AI, read up on how to, uh, you know, once you understand agentic AI, you understand how to leverage LLMs, you can make the whole process more efficient. And and that's something that I'm interested in. You know, we can leverage the technology that we have to make things easier. Get to the bag as quickly as possible while providing honest work. Honest work. We're in an age of being accountable. Business back in the day was always how you can squeeze the last dollar out of your customer without providing any more service. We got used to that, and I always was like irritated about the way the relationship of corporations with individuals. It always seemed like these corporations were not interested in doing honest business. They were just more interested in how many more fees can we levy on our customers without providing any more service. Especially the bigger they got, the worse the quality of their service was. But I think that we're going into a new era where AI is going to expose the bad eggs, the bad ones. It's going to weed them out. I really think so. And then it's going to highlight the ones who are doing the work, the ones who are there to provide good quality service and products and services to their customers. Is going to highlight those people even more. And you're going to have a community. Um, it's just like any tool. It's going to also create a lot of fakes, and the fakes are going to be indistinguishable from the real ones. But depending on how much, if you're paying attention, AI, artificial intelligence, can improve culture. Okay, it can improve culture. You can use it in the space of art to fill in the gaps because we're now starting to learn a lot of truths. A lot of things that we used to think were truth turned out to be lies. There's a lot of lies that we have been programmed to accept as truth, and they're now being exposed. So it is now up to us to use the tools that we have, artificial intelligence, to rewrite those narratives, to retell the story. There's, you know, recently RFK Jr., the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, he made they had him and Donald Trump, the president, they signed an executive order to reduce the prices of pharmaceutical, um, and of medication, and they're breaking a lot of regulations. I think is going to be, it's going to be coded into law. They're breaking a lot of regulations to allow for the pharmaceutical manufacturing to come back to the US. And what that means is that you're going to have a lot more room for small business to get into the health industry, because for so many years it's like the hardest space to get into as a small business because of all the regulations and the red tape. But I think that this time is different. So this is the best time to start positioning yourself to uh, take advantage of what this era brings. Okay, and you know, and learn. Because a lot, a lot of the conversation is around fear mongering and how AI is going to take away jobs. But I really think that I look at it differently. I look at it like it's actually going to uh, increase productivity to a scale that we can't even imagine. The cost of production is going to go down, whether it's producing art, producing goods and services, whatever you can think about. Energy cost is going to go down. And so what that allows room for more players to get into the market. And you can be one of those players. Figure out ideas are now easy to create. I've been playing around with AI tools like Replit, Lovable, Windsurf, Cursor. Um, these are AI applications that allow you to go from idea to deployment. You create an app from straight just by natural language. You can instruct the app of the idea that you want to create, and within minutes you can create that app. It writes the code. It puts the database, connects you to the database, and it allows you to deploy it, and it goes live. And you can connect your custom domain name to it, and it's ready to be used. It's a different time now. Like things, we're in a This is a different time to be alive. Like it's exciting. Okay, creating an application used to be something that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you had to hire like the best developers and all these stuff. It used to be expensive. Now, with a $20 a month subscription to one of these platforms, you can create an application. That's amazing. So imagine, just imagine the world that we're moving in, a world of possibilities. Whatever your mind can imagine, it can be real. The creativity is our edge. That's what we have. That's what differentiates us from artificial intelligence robots. We have creativity. So it does not exist without us. We remain superior. But we have to leverage the tool, which is the artificial intelligence language model or robots, or there's going to be more tools that are going to come out. I was reading about this, and it's open source. It's like a it's a language model that allows that you can operate offline. It's really cool that that exists, right? So think about all these rural areas or even hospitals that are privacy concerned. They can now download their own language model. I forgot the name of it. It's like BD something. They can download into their own devices, into their own hardware, and train it, train that language model with their own proprietary data, and nobody will have access to it. That already exists. So I can think about all the products that are possible with that, right? All like a chatbot for the hospital, for a nursing home. Can you imagine all these old people in the assisted livings? They can now have like these um, devices
I know some of them already do, but you can now download. They can have their own language models that get to study the patient and know the patient and have conversations with the patient and remind them of their activities, keep them engaged. There's a lot of old people who are dying in isolation that withering away in these nursing homes because the old model only paid healthcare staff for numbers and how many charts and how many patients did you go through. It doesn't allow for building relationship with the patients. And I've been in this healthcare space for decade now, so I over a decade, going on 2 decades. And look, the old model, the old way we used to do things have to die. It has to go away because it's making us sick. It's making us sick spiritually, mentally, health wise. We're at the bottom of the ranking globally in terms of mental health and emotional health, spiritual health, physical health. Across the board on all metrics, we're failing. So we have to do things differently. And it starts by acknowledging that we do have a problem. But the old way of just lying over it and peppering over it and putting lipstick on a pig, that's those days are gone. Now we have to be radically honest. That's the era that we're going into now. And with radical honesty and awareness allows for to clear space for us to actually do the work to find the solutions to our problems. We can't just be, as the healthcare people, we can't just be treating symptoms forever. We actually now have to solve some of these health issues, and that's where artificial intelligence comes in. It takes away the mundane. Like a lot of us that have been in the healthcare space, we've spent so much time just doing remote work doing routine work you know that can be automated, and it takes us away from actual patient care. So our patients, they're not doing better, even though we're charging them so much more and we're charging insurance for them for so much more, but we're not providing holistic care. We're just so focused on documentation and all the administrative stuff and the legalese. But I think AI is going to make that process more efficient, freeing us up more time to invest in different aspects of care. Whether if you're in the mental health space, it'll free you up to get creative with helping people get better with mental health. If you're in taking care of the elderly, it'll allow you to get creative. There's a lot of elderly people who are, who need concierge services, but concierge services are it should be covered by Medicare. Like it should be covered. Like it should be a holistic care, not just medication. It's just like it just focuses on treat treat the hospital bill and medication. That's it. Where's the other stuff? Anyway, but this is the value that artificial intelligence brings, in my opinion. It's a larger thing where um, we'll need to study prompt engineering because prompt engineering turns out is very important. You need to understand how to speak to the AI to get it to do exactly what you want. If you're not, if you're giving it garbage, you're gonna get garbage back. And so a very sought after skill is going to be prompt engineering. Um, but you know, I also think that if you just play around with it and get to know the language model, you have a better relationship with it. Like sometimes I just talk to it. I let it teach me stuff, and it's gotten better and better. It doesn't hallucinate. It doesn't matter which, the GPTs with the voice. You can just talk to them. Gemini, you can just talk to them. Grok, you can talk to them. And then I'm watching, I saw an ad of Synthesia, the company that's creating software, AI software that teaches kids, helps kids with critical thinking and reasoning. And I was so impressed with it. It's just really cool. Like tools like that should become, the cost, the barrier for entry should drop. I want the Department of Education, the revamped Department of Education, not the crooked Department of Education that's more interested in enslaving us with federal student loans. The revamped one should be able to provide a service like that to kids. You know what I mean? In the public education, they should be like, and these models are not new. Like you got countries, China is already doing it. Like they're way ahead in the way they're raising their future generation because they understand the importance of investing in their future generation. They, so, we got to keep up. we got we got to keep up. You know. Uh, yeah, there's a promise there. A promise for artificial intelligence to improve our processes. So rather than being afraid of it, I would encourage you to read up on to test out the tools, just try them out. You know, it's so cool now that you have applications like Crew AI that allow you to create agents that get things done. Whether you're, what thing one a tool that I would like to see is like a podcast producer, a multi-agent podcast producer, where there needs to be a tool that allows you to find podcast guests, like, to help people have conversations, to match people with conversations, so that because I think more conversations need to be happening, and we can use AI to help that. An AI podcast producing platform or podcast guest matchmaking platform. So that I can pay a subscription fee to sign up for it, and you know, and then it'll help me find podcast guests, and we can choose to meet up in person. We can have like we can Zoom call. Uh, what if it was just like an all-in-one platform that let you do all that? And on the back end, it uses the multi agents to email, calendar, uh, like all that back end stuff. You can use Supabase for the database with like create an auth so that people can create user profiles and track things. There's so much potential. There's so much potential with artificial intelligence, and I can see it lifting people up out of poverty. Out of poverty. Some of these places we call third world countries, we're going to be shocked at their rate of growth. It's going to be rapid. With what Musk is doing with Starlink and bringing internet access to these rural areas, you're going to have billions of people just suddenly emerge online. Like, hello, we're here. Y'all got anything for us? It's gonna break all those racial barriers and stupid conversations that we waste our time having here in the U.S. Like some of these just shallow conversations that about things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, like the color of your skin and like you know what tribe you fall into. Like some of this stuff is just dumb. There's bigger conversations that we need to be having, and I think that when the combination of internet penetration in some of these remote areas and artificial intelligence is going to create an explosion of culture. You can choose whatever you want now. Like, you know, you don't have to be trapped or stuck in any idea of your identity. You can merge and go in and out of whatever culture you want to be or be part of. There are no rules. You can learn other cultures now. You can be and assimilate. You can be a global citizen and global good law abiding citizen. And you can travel and expand. You know, it's all in your fingertips now. You can take life in whatever direction you want to. There's no need to be a victim anymore. This is the best time to be alive. No room for victimhood. Not one bit. Because artificial intelligence breaks those barriers, those things that you think. I don't know, I was watching this conversation on Censored with Piers Morgan, where he had a panel of the panel was had Myron Gaines. It had um, what was that guy's name again? He's been on TV for a long time having these racial debates. I can't even remember his name anymore. He used to work for Huffington Post, and now Macklemore Hill, and there was two other ladies, and Pierce Morgan is another, like, I don't even know how to describe his character. He's like a weasel. It's hard to pin him if he's authentic or not. I honestly think he's just a clout chaser. He creates chaos so that he can get ratings, and it's working for him. So he doesn't allow room for in-depth conversation. He puts these people, so many people, in a small window of the screen and gives them short period of time to talk. And these are very heavy, controversial topics that require in-depth review, like 2 to 3 hour conversations, like the type you would have on a Joe Rogan podcast. He puts them and he so that he can get sound bites out of them. Anyway, the conversation that they were having was around the idea of victimhood and racial debate in the United States. There's a, Myron Gaines was saying that the black community has been in a state of perpetual victimhood for too long, and they have to just stop begging and asking for to be recognized and just be productive and do and take what their rightful place and earn stuff out of merit. Stop being destructive. Stop being. I think that you know um, anyway, a lot of that anyway. So what happened? Marco Hill, he got really, really upset at the use of the N word around him, and he said he don't want to hear that word, nigga, and nigga this, nigga that. And Myron was just saying, it's just a stupid word. Get over it. You're so in a shallow state where you allow yourself to be triggered and worked up over things that don't really matter. What the hell does it matter if you say the word? It's just a stupid word. It does not. As long as the person is not doing causing you harm physically or you know getting in the way of your resources. Like, they can say whatever the fuck they want to say. It's a right that's been provided for us by the Constitution. The freedom of speech is the one right that separates us from a lot. Literally, people are in Europe getting locked up because of lack of freedom of speech. But here in the United States, the Constitution affords us the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and so Myron was basically saying you can use that word whatever you want, however much you want, it doesn't matter. And Michael Lamont Hill got really pissed off because the one white girl on the panel basically was saying she's gonna say that word however many times she wants, whenever she wants. Who cares? And I think she has a right to say it. I thought that conversation was hilarious. It was hilarious because you know we've got to get past this victimhood. This victim mentality is keeping you enslaved. You have all the tools within your hands to be whoever you want to be. You can just do the work. And change your life. You can use artificial intelligence, leverage it, do the work, and it doesn't even take that long. These days, 1 year of dedicated work, I've seen people do it in 6 months. Like under in government contracting, no experience, no nothing. They just start, and in 3 months they get a contract, and only because they're just like bidding, 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 bidding. They're using AI, like I was saying. They're using AI to generate proposals, do the due diligence and get call the subcontractors, get price quotes. You can even use AI language models to get price quotes to to create a response that is almost certain to get you the contract because it matches exactly to the to the RFP, right? It basically matches. It's so amazing what you can do with AI. Now there are people who are gonna obviously want to abuse this tool because, of course, whenever you have some people just don't like good things. Okay, you can't have nice things, so they're going to try to rig the system and maybe spam, you know, spam the submission with a bunch of AI generated content that's going to guarantee them an instant rejection. And I hope that obviously these people, there are humans on the other side of uh, um, uh, there are humans on the other side of the people on the government side receiving these government contracts for now. And I'm pretty sure that if your stuff doesn't match the requirements, they're just gonna kick it out. And it goes back to what I was saying. Like you should be more focused on providing honest work. The money will come later. It's not about money. I think that people focus too much on money and forget that we're in the business of human relationships, human to human. You're providing the service to another human, so you want to do a good job and make them happy. Shoot. I would be my subcontractors that I pick are gonna be the ones who are gonna do like a really innovative job. I want if I'm in a city, let's say for instance, and I'm gonna focus on local, using AI to change the city where you are living in, where you see like, you know, the people who are responsible for maybe beautifying the park, who gets that contract. Then you hire the ones who are super creative to beautify that park and make it even nicer, more like, you know, really nice. As I'm watching Trump go his tour through the Middle East, and I'm looking at these grand buildings and palaces, I'm wondering, wow, why can't we have those kind of things over here? Like, I'd like to see grand structures over here too. It's time for us to leave war and destruction behind and move into an era of abundance, an era of creativity. So even though the headlines read that Microsoft has laid off 7,000 employees probably because AI can do the job better. That's not that's not what we should focus on. I'd rather focus on ah, that's 7,000 small business owners that are going to now leverage the same AI tool to become millionaires. I look at the upside. It's more interesting. All right, y'all.
See you later. All about the AI and social culture, race. Let's use artificial intelligence to make America great again.